So how's everybody doing today? I was just wanting to go over a few things like with this video. I haven't got a chance to see it yet, um, but I'm gonna give it a go and just kind of see what exactly Riker's talking about whenever he's discussing about the in-game details. Because he was saying something about he wanted to offer up some clarity, and we'll get right to it.
Campaign one time, you can then choose to skip the campaign on subsequent characters, similar to Diablo 3's adventure mode. And this should carry over season to season as well, so you don't have to play the campaign every season. You can choose to, but you don't have to. Then on Twitter, Associate Game Director Joe Pipora clarified that it'll take the average player over 150 hours to reach level 100.
Wow. I think that's awesome that they're going to actually honor the ability to go through all the quest line and just kind of it goes across all the different branches. I'm kind of wondering if it's going to bleed over into hardcore or if it's just going like softcore.
That's the max level in the game. To clarify though, Diablo 4 is more like Diablo 2 or Path of Exile with respect to leveling. That is, you don't need to reach level 100. Most players don't. The last 10 levels in particular, or the last 5 especially, become a giant grind.
Right. I remember whenever I was playing Diablo 2, oh my gosh, I don't ever think I ever reached max level in Diablo 2 because the grind was just something crazy kind of fierce. But yeah, I'm glad they're kind of going back to around the Diablo 1, Diablo 2 kind of leveling system because like in Diablo 3, it took you like literally an hour to reach max level and then just start going into the Paragon points.
It probably takes about as much time to reach level 90 as it does to go from 90 to 100, or as much time to get to level 95 as it takes from getting to 95 to 100. But those last 10 levels aren't going to make a night and day difference in your character power. Yeah, it's a bit more power, but I don't expect level 100 characters to be crapping on level 90 characters just because of those 10 levels. Now, Diablo 3 and many MMOs, these are games where you reach max level and then the game starts. That's not the case with classic ARPGs or Diablo 4. Diablo 4 endgame content starts around level 50. And I've seen some confusion in terminology here.
Right. I definitely can see where the confusion is for brand new players in the Diablo franchise. Just because, like, if you're looking at like any kind of MMORPG, let's just take WoW for instance. Once you reach max level, that's whenever everything kicks off. But in an atypical ARPG, your max, the end game is going to start way earlier. After the fact, that's when you're kind of grinding out gear, setting your character up a little bit better.
On my last video about endgame, some people are saying, isn't endgame level 100? When we refer to the endgame, we don't literally mean the point at which the game ends, but rather the content that the game offers once you've beaten the campaign and is expected to form your day-to-day gameplay loop once you are in the end game, the end of the main campaign game. Then, in case you missed it, last week they confirmed that any death in hardcore is permadeath, including PvP deaths. And I'm not sure why this was surprising to...
All right, I definitely don't see why there's a surprise in the mix for that, because as far as with hardcore deaths, hardcore is hardcore. You're tempting fate every single time you step out in the area doing quests, taking on monsters. You're always at risk of death. And it's that permadeath where you cannot utilize that character anymore.
To some hardcore players, or even why there was a desire to not have permadeath in PvP. It seems to kind of defeat the purpose of hardcore if dying in PvP doesn't actually
Right.
kill your character. Some people are saying that this means the hardcore PvP scene will be dead. I mean, I think it just means only the most hardcore of the hardcore are gonna PvP. Then another thing some folks may have missed from the dev live stream last week, the updated in-game font. Thanks to Wowhead for this comparison image, you can see the new serif font in action. It certainly feels more medieval and immersive. Legibility seems to have taken a bit of a hit though. The classic wisdom with fonts is that serifs read better in print, while sans serif fonts read better on screen.
Honestly, for me, fonts weren't a huge issue at all. But I can definitely see it's a little bit tougher to see.
But we should also point out here that the new font image in this comparison is a lower quality screen grab, which artificially makes it harder to read. While I was playing last week, I didn't recall having any issues reading anything, and no fonts also really stuck out to me, which is what you want. Some things are things you only notice if they're wrong or they feel off. And
Right, it was kind of superficial.
I released a video this week talking about my experience playing Diablo 4's endgame at Blizzard's offices. In the video, I break down Diablo 4's endgame loop and how the various activities tie together. This sparked some new questions from you folks. I've answered some in the comments on that video. I'll answer a couple here as well. With Helltide events, people were asking about the chests. The chests are instanced to you, so you don't have to worry about someone else opening a chest before you, whether that's a party member or just some random person in the world. Then in the video, I spoke about one-shots. And when I was talking about one-shots, I didn't mean things that would literally kill your character in one shot, no matter how much defense you're stacking. I more so meant an attack that deals enough damage to kill you in one shot from max health if you don't react either with a defensive skill in time.
So basically, if you're built for survivability, this should not at all be an issue.
Or if your build is really offense heavy and defense light. I would imagine that if you focus really hard on defense, then some of these things that were one-shotting me would just be near-death experiences instead of one-shots. For instance, again, on my Sorcerer, I was getting one-shot by certain boss mechanics until I changed my build a little bit to focus on...
Right, that was just kind of just like what I was talking about in my last video, where for the Sorcerer, I highly recommend utilizing those, the fire and the code builds together as far as having those barriers and just reacting to the mob and not doing like a crapshoot of, hey, I'm going to throw out so much damage that nothing's going to kill me. Obviously, something's going to kill you. After I played like Diablo 2, I know exactly whenever you're moving up in the ranks, things start having a lot more resistances and they're going to deal out a lot more damage. So it's always good to have those barriers set and reacting to said mobs.
Building up shields, and I would generate my shield right before that hit would come in. So when it would hit me, it would remove all my shield and take me down to maybe 10% health instead of just obliterating me completely. And then I can pop a potion and keep on with the fight. Then another point of clarification, when I was comparing the relative power of legendary affixes, unique affixes, and legendary paragon nodes, I said that the order of their power felt like legendary affixes, then legendary paragon nodes, and then unique affixes. I still feel that that's the case, but I need to point out that there's a really wide range of power among legendary affixes. Some are really strong, and there's a lot of legendary affixes that are better than the Paragon board legendaries. But if you're looking at the Codex legendaries, in general, the Paragon legendary nodes seem more powerful than those. Right. And given that a Paragon board just adds one more legendary when you're already stacking several legendary powers, I doubt unlocking Paragon boards will make you want to completely respec your character just to fit a legendary node. I think what you're going to do is you're going to just look for the legendary board, legendary node that best fits your build. And given the variety that there are, it seems like there should be one for your build, no matter, hopefully more than one choice. I know I felt like I had a couple choices that were top tier for whatever build I was running to decide between. And something that I didn't harp on nearly enough, the glyphs that you insert into the Paragon boards, being these upgradable endgame chase items, are likely to become the most important parts of the Paragon boards for, at least for really invested players. If you're going to be more casual and you're not going to be hitting level 90 plus.
Oh, wow. I kind of expected that some of the nodes on there, on the Paragon board, were going to be a little bit more substantial than what they are. Huh. That's interesting.
Glyphs may not be as big on your radar. This is just my guess here. So those legendary nodes might be more interesting to you, but those glyphs, picking the right glyph, leveling them up, putting them in the right spot on the right board, doing all the theory crafting and planning around those glyphs, planning your entire Paragon board path around your glyphs, I think that's what the really advanced players are going to be focused on. Now, I also learned this week that mounts will unlock after completing a certain quest within the campaign. There was some confusion here because past...
I'm definitely hoping it is in our next area where we're going to be going to in basically Act 2. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I'm really looking forward to unlocking the mount. And I hope that if you unlock it with one character, that it'll go across the board, because it'll kind of suck if you have to go back and unlock the mount for each and every character. Hope he has some insight on this.
This information said that mounts would unlock after the campaign, but the update is that there's a quest to unlock the mounts during the campaign. We don't know exactly when in the campaign this happens. Could be towards the end. But in the beta, we had seen it stated in-game that mounts would unlock after completing the quest Donan's Favor. And within the first region, we're given a quest to go see Donan in Skosglen. That's an adjacent region. So, we could get the mount as early as the second zone, unless Donan is a character that just sticks with us for the rest of the game.
Oh no, that would suck.
Another detail that there was confusion about in the past, which was clarified during the live stream last week, Altars of Lilith. You will only have to find them all one time.
Thank you, baby Jesus. That is awesome news.
Once you unlock an Altar of Lilith, it is unlocked forever. You don't need to unlock it again on a new season. However, softcore and hardcore characters are treated separately, so you do have to get them all on softcore and all on hardcore.
Well, that definitely kind of answered my question about whether or not if softcore characters, if they unlock things, if it's going to be also unlocked for the hardcore. I guess the final is softcore unlocks for softcore, hardcore unlocks for hardcore.
Or if you plan to play both. There's nothing you can do on softcore to help your hardcore character. The devs also clarified during the live stream that you can reset dungeons. We just won't be able to do it via a reset dungeon button anymore like in the beta.
Right, and it's always been that way where with the resets from the dungeons, normally what I used to do in the past was kind of log out and then log back in, it reset, or if you go to a town, it resets. It's not a huge deal with having that reset button. It's not a deal breaker. It's just a part of the franchise, if you will.
So, if you leave a dungeon after some amount of time, it will reset. If you completed that dungeon, you beat the boss, that reset time's only going to be about 30 seconds. But if you left the dungeon early before completing it, it'll take a few minutes. And this is just to stop the abuse case of running the first half of a dungeon over and over to efficiently farm elite monsters. This was the meta in the beta. It's not a fun gameplay loop, so it's good that they killed the efficiency.
Right.
Then Blizzard also released this week another Inside the Game video. This one titled, Your Class, Your Way.
I absolutely love that video because I don't think any one build should be better than another. All the abilities should have some equal weight. It just does something different, and it's how your play style is, and not how somebody else, Joe Smo Smuckatelli, does his build. I don't really care. I like doing my own builds. It adds to the creativity and also the playability. And again, I'd also suggest maybe doing like a hard look at your character at level 35 before the gold becomes astronomical whenever you're doing any kind of resets.
And it discusses all the ways in which you get to customize your character, from appearance to build. Now again, these videos are not aimed at veterans with lots of crunchy details. They're hype videos for players who don't know too much about Diablo 4 and want some high-level overviews. If you want to check out the video, I have the link below. But alongside the video also came a blog post that shared a couple extra details, like how your skill tree ends with a selection of build-defining key passives. That's something that I believe I forgot to mention in my endgame video. Those key passives are strong enough that you want your build to revolve around them, and you can only pick one of them. The post also clarified that once you unlock a mount on one character, it is unlocked across all your other characters as well. And the post also...
Awesome. That definitely answered my question about that, because I probably skipped over that part in the video, not gonna lie. Shame on me for that. But I did not hear that during that video.
Today was the final launch system requirements for Diablo 4, including minimum, medium, high, and ultra 4K setting requirements. Now, even if you don't meet the minimum requirements, the game will still try to run, but Blizzard can't guarantee that your experience will be great.
This is something
overall,
like screenshot worthy.
But if you want to benefit from NVIDIA's DLSS,
for those folks that have any kind of questions whether or not their rig can take
then, since my last
Diablo
video,
4.
we got the remaining class trailers for each launch class: the Necromancer, Druid, and Barbarian, on top of the already released Rogue and Sorcerer. In case you missed those videos, I'll pop the links to them in the description below. We also got episode 3 of Diablo Lo-Fi Beats. This time it's Diablo 3 tracks.
Okay.
Again, link below. Now, as a reminder, Blizzard revealed a server slam coming up. That'll be on Mother's Day weekend.
How many folks are going to be out there for Server Slam? I'm guilty. Yes, Mother's Day weekend. I will be streaming live with the different characters I'm going to be running. And just putting it out there, I'm most definitely going to be going with the Barbarian. I know it was a little bit lackluster the past couple of betas, but I'm pretty hopeful on later on down the road on how everything comes together. Absolutely love the Barbarian.
May 12th through 14th. Anyone can jump in and play. You don't have to have bought the game, pre-ordered. It is a free-for-all. They want to stress test their servers in time for launch, and they're incentivizing players to come back for this, or new players to join in, by first off allowing players to...
I absolutely love that cosmetic, and some of the tweets previously about the wolf pup I'm very hopeful for, because I'm hopeful that it's gonna grow to be like almost like a pet. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm holding my breath. But that thing is amazing.
To get all the rewards from the past betas, including that.
And you can also, if you weren't participating in the past 2 open betas, you can go ahead and get all the requirements for attaining the wolf pup and the different Voyager titles.
Delightful wolf puppy backpack. Plus, they've added a new cosmetic reward that you can unlock.
And this, my friends, looks absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to have that on there. I know also that like you get PvP rewards as far as like adornments for your mount, which I think is going to be awesome. and I can't wait for it. And look at that mount, seriously. That is wicked.
A trophy that you hang from your mount. To get this cosmetic, you need to defeat the world boss Ashava while you are level 20. This will be the new max level in the beta, not 25 like last time. Now, you won't get the cosmetic unless you are level 20, so you have no reason to enter the Ashava.
So keynote, hit level 20, take out Ashava. And definitely don't be that guy that just kind of holds everybody else back and starts wandering over there. Hopefully they put some parameters in place to keep that from happening and having folks wander over and they're like level 15 and not outputting much damage. Ashava is already going to be hard enough at level 20. Much less be at 15 coming over. You're basically going to assist with wiping the group. So that's not a cool thing. Don't be that guy.
A fight before you are level 20. Ashava's going to be spawning more frequently than in the past betas. She'll spawn every 3 hours. So just get to 20 first, then go for Ashava. Don't go in there at level 10 and
right.
stick
Don't
around the
go
edge
in
of the
there.
fight, making it more challenging for everyone as you don't contribute.
Right.
It's not going to serve any purpose for you. Now, a tip for fighting Ashava. She has these big scary area attacks that swoop across basically the entire screen, making it rather difficult for ranged classes if you don't properly time your dodge to get out of that range. But if you get close to Ashava and you stay away from her mouth and you stick near her butt, you're relatively safe. Her big swooping arm attacks don't hit people right next to her. Also know that during...
And also, atypically, your damage output is going to be a lot greater whenever you are on the backside of whatever monster it is. Because that's their vulnerability spot. And most MMOs and ARPGs kind of adapt with that same kind of concept whenever you're behind a boss. Not 100% on whether or not Diablo 4 damage output system is going to be exactly the same, but atypically that is the case.
During this beta, the drop rates will no longer be inflated like they were in the past beta. You can expect them to be reflective of the final version of the game. So that means you're going to have a lot fewer legendaries, and you are therefore going to be weaker than last time. And everyone has to level up a fresh character. You don't get to bring in your level 25 ringer that you farmed that level 35 mob with during the last beta. And I should also remind you folks that the Barbarian and the Druid are not getting access to their class specializations, making them a little bit weaker than the other classes. And the Barbarian in particular really starts to shine once you get some supporting legendary items into your build. Legendary drop.
Now that sucks to hear that, because previously in the explanation given, it was stated that, you know, the Druid and the Barbarian, they came into their own, this and the other, but I guess it's not till later on. So that's a little bit disheartening to hear. As a Barbarian, you have to wait for items, which that kind of goes against what the devs have been saying, that, you know, each individual player across the board, they get stronger as they go, and they're not reliant on their gear. So that's kind of disheartening.
Drop rate's going to be a lot lower, so these two classes may not be the best choice if you're looking for the easiest, fastest way to get your cosmetic. Of course, pick whatever you'd like to have fun with. Level 20 is faster to reach than level 25, and you will have multiple opportunities to fight Ashava. I'm probably going to pick Rogue again. And I'll wrap up the Diablo 4 portion of today's video with my take on the rumor of the 6th class via the Mug leak, or the Stein leak. So Blizzard is selling this Stein in the official gear store. And on the lid of this Stein, you can see 6 symbols. 5 of them clearly represent each of the 5 classes currently in the game. And the final symbol is a symbol of Lilith, which has also been taken to be the symbol of the new cult of the Triune. Now, people are interpreting this to mean that the 6th class will be some kind of cultist of Lilith, or cultist of the Triune, or something of that nature. I highly doubt this is the case. I'm pretty confident that this symbol is just meant to represent Lilith. If this were a Diablo 2 mug, we'd have a symbol here that just represented Diablo, like a pentagram or something. The other class symbols all clearly look like something that a non-Diablo player can use to interpret what the class is about. You got Sword and Bow, Rogue. Skull and Dagger, Necromancer. Viking Horned Helm, Barbarian. Bear Paw, Druid. Sorcerer's elemental magic symbol here is admittedly a bit more obscure, but it still gives some information. Whereas the symbol of Lilith is something that, while I actually personally believe there is a lot of symbolism in there representing Lilith herself, it's not something that would allow a random gamer to guess what a class is about based on just this symbol. It gives no data. So it's just in stark contrast to the other symbol.
I'm still hopeful, and I'm hanging on and holding on for dear life on the thought process that we might have, let's say, an unholy dark knight versus having a paladin. Paladins are great and all, but I definitely, if we're looking at the whole scheme of things, the heavens have been cut off, and folks, the reason why Lilith was even brought early into Sanctuary was because of the threat from the primevals. So that's where I'm kind of thinking that there has to be a dark knight in the mix. And I'm not looking more into the holy knight experience.
Symbols that clearly give away a lot of information. So I really just think that they had some design, they had a pattern that allowed them to fit in.
I will definitely agree to disagree on this one. And again, I'm really hopeful for more of a dark knight, dark paladin mix, and not really looking forward to another holy class, because in previous Diablos we brought in all these different things, like we got the Crusaders from Diablo 3 and also the monks. I am really hoping that they're going to have a little fresh mindset and go with a little darker entity that's going to be entering the mix as a character. And again, I'm very hopeful for that. So fingers crossed, hopefully it happens.
6 symbols, so they put the 5 class symbols, and they just decided to put the Lilith symbol as the 6th one, just for aesthetic reasons. I could be wrong, but I really think there's nothing here. All right, now, in other major news this week, the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, I'm definitely not really worried about the state of Microsoft taking over Activision and Blizzard. There are going to be a little bit of side effects and a little, possibly good introductions if Microsoft takes over. But again, I'm more concerned about with Diablo 4 and what's currently going on in Diablo 4. And as far as an entirety of the video, I highly respect Riker. Hats off to him. Much props to him. With giving that information and also clarifying previous statements in previous videos. But again, hats off to Riker for putting out this information and doing the clarification. I definitely look forward to playing with you guys, and whenever we have that server slam, hope everybody comes out and participates, because that's only going to help whenever we have the release of the game. So look forward to kicking ass with you guys. AOH out.